It is fantasy football season, and trying to decide how to approach your draft, it can be a massive headache. In this series, I'm going draft slot by draft slot, talking over what you can expect to see from your draft position, what strategies you can use, which players you might want to take, and which players you might want to avoid. We'll touch on the sleepers available later on, and we'll even run through a super quick mock draft so you can see exactly how I would draft from each position. This time, we're picking from the 107, and these are some of the players you can expect to see there. Breece Hall, despite playing with an absolute miserable set of quarterbacks and a horrible offensive line last year, not to mention coming off an ACL injury, Hall led all running backs with 93 targets and was second in receptions with 73. Due to the ineptitude of the Jets offense, however, Hall finished with only 8 touchdowns, tied for the 17th most at the position. 36 other running backs had more attempts inside the red zone than Breece Hall did. The Jets, they ranked 4th worst in percentage of drives to end in points at 26%. Even with Aaron Rodgers coming off the Achilles injury, that's going to improve this year. And Hall, he has VRB1 overall outcomes within his range. AJ Brown. The past year, it was the tale of two halves. Brown, who scored 22.6 points per game in weeks 1 to 9, before just going off a cliff in the second half of the season, scoring only 12.3 points per game for the rest of the season. Part of this, it could be attributed to the fact that the Eagles' collapse in general wasn't an AJ Brown thing. It was a whole team thing. It seemed like they weren't on the same page across the board. Jalen Hurts was injured. It sounded like he had this bone bruise issue, which we never really got proper details about. But that's an injury known to hamper dual threat quarterbacks. AJ Brown might come with some risk, but if the Eagles can stay more consistent in 2024, having a player who can average over 22 points per game is a massive advantage in fantasy football, and it sounds like Kellen Moore, as offensive coordinator for the Eagles, plans on getting AJ Brown in motion far more often than he's ever been. And AJ Brown coming at you with a full head of steam, that's not something I want to get in the way of. Picking up a 107, there's some great players, but there's also a couple of players who I don't want to pick here. Puka Nacua. Nacua broke the NFL rookie receiving yards and receptions record with 105 receptions and 1,486 receiving yards. He also scored 6 touchdowns, but it's perhaps not worth taking him quite this early, particularly with him missing the next couple of weeks of training camp due to a knee injury. Cooper Kupp still looked good in 2023. He had a 25% target share, very close to Nakua's 28%, and his route participation was outdoing Nakua's at 92.8% compared to Nakua's 91.2%. Cooper Kupp has been healthy all off-season. The coaching staff are raving about how good he looks. Meanwhile, Nakua's missing time in training camp. It shouldn't be surprising if Cooper Kupp can really close the distance this year. Jahmyr Gibbs. The Lions, they continue to say that they plan on using a committee between David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs in 2024. It makes sense to do so. You look at their abilities, they mesh well together. Montgomery led the backfield last year in touches with 17.3 compared to Gibson's 15.8. He also led the pair with 4.0 evaded tackles per game compared to Gibbs's 3.5. Gibbs was a more explosive runner with a massive 9% big run rate. That dwarfed Montgomery's 3.8%. But still, the Lions preferred Montgomery around the goal line, which kept him very fantasy relevant, kept Gibbs out of the end zone. Gibbs deserves to go around the end of the first round or early in the second, but not quite this high in drafts. We're going to use Fantasy Pros Draft Wizard to mock draft. It is insanely customizable. You can sync it to your leagues and automatically copy the settings in. Then it'll adjust the rankings for that. You can choose which expert rankings and insights you'd like to see, including mine, which are part of the expert consensus rankings of over 100 people from across the fantasy football industry. There's no waiting around for other people. Nobody taking 6 kickers in the mock draft. Instead, we can mock draft against the Wizard, get feedback from top experts on our drafts. Check out the link in the description below to start your own mock drafts right now. If you are finding our videos for the first time, do me a solid and hit that subscribe button down below. We are ever so close to 3,000 subscribers. Here we do Dynasty, we do Best Ball, we do Redraft, we do DFS. We get you cooking all year long. Picking from the 7th slot, we are set for a half PPR league. We've got 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 flex spot, defense kicker, and 6 bench spots. Breece Hall makes it to us at 107, and that is such an easy pick. In the second round, let's take Kyren Williams, who had a huge year last year, averaged the most running back touches of any player. In the third round, let's add Nico Collins as our wide receiver 1. And then we'll take DK Metcalf in round 2. That's a high upside wide receiver room that we've got there. Malik Neighbors in round 3, despite the ankle injury, is well worth clicking. We'll stack Nico Collins with CJ Stroud in the 6th round. Quarterbacks, tight ends, they're all going off the board now. We can just keep pushing on with wide receiver at this point because we are well set up with the top 2 running backs. We'll take Chris Godwin, lean into the idea that he gets back into the slot and is really productive there. The running backs, let's take Chase Brown here as our running back 3. We don't have a tight end yet, but Evan Ingram, Jake Ferguson, David Njoku all feel similar in their same sort of tier to me. So let's push them a bit further, take another running back and really feel strong there. We'll take Chuba Hubbard, who has a chance to take the Panthers' job if Jonathan Brooks can't get on the field. All 3 tight ends make it back to us, so let's take Evan Ingram here. We played that perfectly. Round 11, Jacoby Myers. The Raiders' offense might not be incredible, but he could still be a decent value. 12th round, let's take a shot on a rookie running back in Ray Davis, who could get the goal line work in Buffalo. We'll take another tight end to pair with Evan Ingram because Evan Ingram isn't the most reliable. Dallas Goedert could have a big bounce back season. 14th round, we're looking at defense and kickers now to round out the draft. The GOAT himself, Justin Tucker, still available in the middle of a 14th round. You've got to smash that. That might not happen too often in your home leagues, but that's the fun of these. We can try them out and see. And then we'll take the Texans defense, who have a real chance to be fun with a lot of youth there. This draft got an A, 95 out of 100. If we drafted T. Higgins at the 606 and drafted a QB later, your score would have been 23 points later. Week 12, we're going to have plenty of bye week issues, but we've got plenty of time to sort it out before then. Ray Davis ranks number 5 in the running back consensus sleeper rankings. You drafted Evan Ingram in the 10th round, 2 rounds later than he's ranked. Dallas Goedert in the 13th round, 3 rounds later than he ranked. It really paid off for us pushing the tight end position there. What would you have done differently if you were drafting from the 107? Let me know in the comments. We answer every single comment and question on this channel. We will get you set up to win big in 2024. All you've got to do, hit that subscribe button down below.